Good morning, traders. I am Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Friday, August 30th. We await the bell on this final day of trading this week and for the month after markets ended mixed yesterday after a roller coaster regular session. The Dow notched a record close, adding 243 points or 0.59% to close at 41,335 points. The S&P 500 ended basically flat, and the NASDAQ ended in the red, giving up 39 points or just about 0.25%. Both indices slipped from earlier session highs. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are, we're having a strong move higher. We're up 0.53%. Showing a lot of green on my screen. That's always a positive indicator. I was going through the option data. Everything looked really good this morning. So, yeah, I foresee, a real strong opening today. I mean, if you look at it, the key event today is the PCE report. This is an inflation report. Now you're going to be looking at the core. That's going to be the key portion of this report, and that's due out 1 hour before the market opens. Then you look at the earnings from last night. Autodesk, DELL, Lululemon, MDB, MRVL. They all released. They're all trading higher after their earnings releases. So you got to appreciate that. And then I'm kind of taking a look into next week. Remember, it's a shortened week because Monday is a holiday, and it's a big week for employment data. And we get and on Friday, next Friday, we have the non-farm payrolls report coming out. So that's going to be a key one. That's a big market moving report. And there are some concerns. I mean, there's a big meeting, a union meeting on Wednesday for the dock workers of the nation's busiest ports are looking for a new contract. And, it's really up in arms there. But as far as today, I'm seeing a lot of green on the screen. I am excited about the morning, so that should be good. And then I take a look at what's happening overseas. I got the DAX up 37 points or 0.2%. I get the FTSE up 24 points or 0.3%. I get the CAC up 28 points or almost 0.4%. The EuroZone annual inflation data fell to 2.2, and unemployment fell to an all-time low of 6.4%. That's positive for Europe. But then, in London, we're seeing the banks are trading higher. Media and telecom stocks are trading a bit lower, though. In France, the annual inflation rate slowed to 1.9% in August. That was slightly above the 1.8 forecast, but you're seeing, positive reaction in the CAC this morning. So that's all good. We're looking at Asia last night, and we did see gains across the board. We looked at you're taking a look at the Nikkei in Japan. It jumped 285 points at 0.74%. Now, industrial production rebounded 2.8%. The annual inflation came in at 2.4%. Now expectations were 2.2, so inflation's run a little hotter. But they're going to start raising rates in Japan, not lowering them. So the market is higher, mainly because I think of the industrial production rebound. Data. Then you look at the Hang Seng, which jumped 202 points or 1.14%. I mean, you saw auto stocks, saw insurance and property stocks moving higher, and the Shanghai finally turned. It actually finished higher, 0.68%. That's about 19 points. The index did finish lower for the fourth consecutive months, and really they got deflationary pressures across the board going on there in China, and that's causing them problems. There's still that lack of a strong policy support that's also weighing on stocks. But you look at it, property stocks did well, overnight. Hardware stocks delivered gains, so Shanghai wasn't too bad. And then we're keeping an eye on oil as we always do, and oil has actually just turned. It is now trading lower. Not much, slightly lower, but it was flat to higher. Now it's flat to lower. You got WTI at $75.81 a barrel. You got Brent trading at $79.79. That's down about the 0.2% of 1%. The PCE report's gonna, likely cause some volatility. But the market continues to monitor that Libya situation because the production could be turned back on at any time. But there's an economic incentive to turn back on the production because they get no money as long as they stop production. And the dispute is over, a leadership post of one person for the central bank. I mean, I kind of find that odd. Um, that they would shut oil production. That's a dramatic move. So I don't expect that to be a long-term situation. I do expect them to resolve that in the short term, and that would lower oil prices because Libya does produce over 1 million barrels a day. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, on this Friday ahead of the holiday weekend, you've mentioned a number of things in that opening that we're going to dig into here throughout the show. Obviously, the economic events, the PCE, is a big headline here. But before we get to the day's economic events, we're going to get to earnings action. You noted a number of stocks trading higher after earnings released yesterday. So give us a rundown of what we should be watching when it comes to earnings action.
Hey, yeah, let's start off with Lululemon, ticker LULU. Larry Uncle. They beat by 22 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. That stock's up 4% this morning. Autodesk, ticker ADSK, Apple David Sam Kilo. They beat by 15 cents on higher revenue. That stock's up 5% this morning. We're talking Marvel, ticker MRVL, Michael Richard Victor Larry. They met expectations, but they did it on higher revenue. Stock's up 11.94% this morning. Dell Technologies, ticker DELL, David Edward Larry, they beat by 18 cents on higher revenue. Stocks up 5%. It was a good, solid report. Everything looked pretty good there. Nothing crazy. Some margin issues, but for the most part, that was nothing new. So, I mean, I like the Dell report. I thought that was a positive one on that. And the stock's up. So, yeah, we'll see more gains to come in Dell Technologies, I'm pretty sure. But upcoming, we got PagerDuty. Now, this is coming out Tuesday afternoon. There's no earnings on Monday because of the holiday, but Tuesday we've got a number of earnings coming out, and Tuesday afternoon is when the big ones are coming out. PagerDuty, ticker PD, Paul David, they're coming out Tuesday afternoon. EPS is 16 cents. Expected move is 11.89%. GitLab, ticker GTLB, Grace Tom Larry Boy, their EPS is 10 cents. Expected move is 13.57%. Health Equity, ticker HQY, Henry Quinton Yellow, they're also coming out Tuesday afternoon. EPS is 70 cents. Expected move is 8.82%. And Zscaler, ticker ZS, Zebra Sam, their EPS is 69 cents with an expected move of 10.86% on their release, Emily.
And Bill, now to the economic events of the day. The headline here, as we mentioned, is the PCE report, which is the Fed's preferred gauge of inflation. We have that and a number of reports coming out this morning. So give us a look at everything we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
8:30 a.m. Personal income and outlays, personal income and expenses, however you want to call it. PC report, that's the big one, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Also at 8:30 we get the Chicago PMI. We get at 8:30 or 10 o'clock we get. I think that's at 9:45 the Chicago PMI. And then at 10 o'clock we get the consumer sentiment, and then at 1 p.m. Eastern time we get the Baker Hughes rig count being released. PC is the big one, and estimates. I see estimates at 1%. I see estimates at 2% increases for the July, but it's really the core, and that core should drop to 2.5% on an annual basis, and that's what is going to be moving stocks. That's why you're seeing the S&P's up 0.56% this morning. So that's the key one to watch, Emily.
And Bill, on this Friday ahead of a holiday, a lot of people are slowing down, but not you. You're just picking up pace here this morning, looking at that earnings action, following those economic events, and then you're still gathering other data and information, all using your NewsWare and breaking it down into alerts. You're following things this morning like guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, other catalysts. You're looking at your stocks grouped together, like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 28 higher. I got one lower and one unchanged. That looks good. And then I look at my FANG stocks. They're all up almost. They're all trading higher. You get Tesla leading the way up 1.56%, and Apple lagging, but because it's only up 0.56%. But yeah, we're looking for a nice green opening this morning. You look at some of the news behind the tape, and I'm really starting off with Amazon. They have that Alexa there, which is going to be powered by Anthropic's Claude's artificial intelligence models rather than their own AI model is the word that's out there. Remember, Amazon's talking about charging for Alexa, some AI functions in it starting in October. $10 a month, I think I heard. Also, Amazon, the Federal Labor Agency, he denied Amazon's request to overturn the results of a 22 election where workers in a Staten Island warehouse voted to unionize. What else we see? Meta, Instagram reportedly is exploring a real-time integration of Spotify. That's kind of interesting. Tesla judge dismissed a lawsuit against Musk and Tesla, alleging that the CEO pumped up the price of cryptocurrency Dogecoin to, into a $258 billion pyramid scheme. He wasn't doing that. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, Intel's the key story here because, they're said to be considering a split off of their foundry business and scrapping factory projects. This could be something. This could be something on Intel. Microsoft, one of the key things is, OpenAI is said to be, setting up a new round of funding, and Apple and NVIDIA are said to be talking to them in terms of investing in OpenAI's funding. Amgen, hey, just want to point out Amgen on September 4th, I think that's Wednesday, Morgan Stanley is hosting a global healthcare conference, and the CEO is scheduled to, give a presentation or sit down for an interview. That could be something for Amgen next week. In terms of guidance news, Dell, let's talk Dell Computers, ACQ3 EPS coming in $2 plus or minus 10 cents. Now, the street estimate is 220. Not great, but I still do like it. Ulta Beauty, ticker ULTA, they cut their full year 2024 EPS view to $22.60 to $23.50. The street estimate had it at $25.38, so that's a big downtick. Lululemon, ticker LULU, they see the full year 2024 EPS coming in $13.95 to $14.15. Street estimate has it at 14. It's in between. It's good. It's good. It's not bad. It is an uptick. Autodesk, ticker ADSK, they see full year 2025 EPS coming in $8.18 to $8.31. Street estimate, that was an uptick from the earlier report of 7.99 to 8.21. So I like to see that. It's a nice big increase on ADSK. Stock's up 5%. You can't beat that. This like shareholder events going on. I mean, Bristol Myers, ticker BMY, boy, Michael Yellow, they're making a presentation today at the European Society of Cardiology Congress session. They're doing it this morning. It could cause some movement in the shares of Bristol Myers, ticker BMY this morning. In terms of buyback news, ticker NXPI, Nancy X-Ray Paul India, NXP Semiconductors, they announced a 2 billion share buyback. Let's talk catalyst calls. This is one I found interesting. It's a little strange, but Marvel, ticker MRVL. What I told you they released earnings, and that's positive. You look at it, the stock, it's up 11.85%. But Citibank opened up a 90-day positive catalyst watch on the stock this morning because there's a conference going on that they like the stock going into a conference. But the conference is Wednesday, September 4th, where the CEO is going to be, having a sit down. But it's a 90-day positive catalyst watch, yet the conference that they're referring to is next week. So that's a little odd, but the Citibank positive catalyst watch on Marvel came out this morning. Very interesting. So maybe there's room for the stock to move higher. We'll have to wait and see. I'd be cautious here, but it is positive. I'd look for some weakness. But that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional NewsWire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, looking at a pick ahead of this inflation report, ahead of a long weekend, number of catalysts going on in the market today. What is your pick of the day?
Yeah, there's no earnings really to play, and the news is all about earnings that have already come out, and the news is about the PCE. But I do like the cybersecurity sector because we did have you look at CrowdStrike and it's up 1.8% after those earnings. I mean, you look at the other stocks; they're trading higher. They're trading strong. So I'm looking at Nice Systems, NICE, Nancy India Charlie Edward this morning. It's a sector play. I think we're going to see some good movements in the sector today, being led by CrowdStrike and Datadog, obviously. I look at yesterday's call volume, 117 calls traded versus 48 puts. The open interest, 32,071 call contracts versus 20,569 put contracts. And the major brokers do like the stock. They have been raising price targets. So I do think there's an opportunity here, but the key is I got to get in a good price. I think the stock will trade under 175 today. I'm hoping I can get in at 174, 174.50, and maybe that's too aggressive. But I do think this could deliver some positive gains. Saw a little weakness lately in the stock. It has room to move higher, so I do like it. So that's my pick of the day. Nice Systems, ticker NICE, Nancy India, Charlie Edward on a sector play, Emily.
We will follow that along with you and hope that NICE works out for you this Friday. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day, so stick with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, sending it back to you.
We got to talk about BABA, ticker BABA, boy apple. The stock's up like 4% this morning. Okay, they had this they're being self-regulated. They were considered a monopoly. Well, they were turning these reports to the Chinese regulators, and according to the Chinese regulators, they are no longer a monopoly, and that's really a benefit to Alibaba. So those comments from the Chinese regulators were positive, and that's why you're seeing the stock trade higher this morning. It's also helping some of the other Chinese retailers as well. But BABA trading higher this morning. What else do we see? PPG, Paul Grace expands operations in Malaysia. Let's talk that Meta's Llama business could be worth 10 to 20 billion, according to Jefferies. I don't know about that. It's kind of inflated. Marvel, ticker MRVL, says the AI demand has been extremely strong. Tyson Foods, they named Kirk Callaway as their CFO. John Tyson remains with the company. Remember this guy? He's like the grandson of the founder that woke up in somebody else's bed in a house that he doesn't know anyone at. They put him on leave. He's still on medical leave. Weird guy. Ulta Beauty, bad earnings report. Stock's down 8% after Q2 earnings miss. Yeah, we kind of knew that was happening. We knew the stock was weak. SecureWorks, ticker SCWX, Sam Charlie William X-ray, halted. Volatility pause. Let's just remember BBWI, Boy William, India, Bed Bath Body Works. CEO is going to be interviewed at the Goldman Sachs Retailing Conference on 9/4. Costco, they're releasing their sales expectations, the sales data for August on next Wednesday after the bell. That could be something. COST. Let's see if I got anything else here interesting. Top banking regulator has found that the major banks are in the early stages of assessing and managing climate risks posed to their businesses, and said significant work still needs to be done in these areas. Disney and DirecTV are racing to renew their distribution agreement before the pact expires on Sunday. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we get to trading ahead of this holiday weekend, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was the Gap Inc. Now, this morning, I saw at least one price target raise on the stock, along with, reiteration on buy ratings. Now, looking back to yesterday, quite the story here. Gap's earnings results were inadvertently posted to the website early. Trading on the stock was halted once the error was caught, but it turns out it was good news on the earnings front. They reported an earnings per share of 54 cents. That was versus the 40 cents expected. Revenue was up 5% year over year and was reported at $3.72 billion, ahead of the $3.63 billion expected. For the full year, Gap now expects its gross margin to be 2 percentage points higher than the uptick of at least 1.5 percentage points it had previously forecasted. It also expects its operating income to grow by about 50%. It previously anticipated to increase slightly more than 40%. The headlines here including, that this turnaround is working, that they're expecting positive comps for the remainder of the year. Now, Bill, this was quite the topsy-turvy trading with Gap yesterday. It was an earnings play, but that halting in trading really put a wrench in the wheel. But it still turned out okay. How did your call work out?
I don't know what to say here. I mean, the fact of the matter is they pre-announced. I mean, they were supposed to come out in the afternoon, and instead they came out in the morning. I mean, in the model, we look to get in before the earnings and then, sell after the pop, or if unless there's a, 1% gain before the pop in the earnings. But we had an entry price of 22.50, 22.75, which is really where the stock was during the broadcast and yesterday, and before the release. But then the release hit, and so you could have got in. You could have got in under at 22.50. I mean, there definitely were trades going off in that range. And then after the earnings hit, stock traded up to 25. So in theory, the model worked exactly as planned. But because it happened in the pre-market, guess what happens? That opening price was 24.50. And that, and so it closed a little lower off of that, but that would be expected. It was a good pick. The entry price was solid, but that pre-announcement was unexpected. And then the trading halt in the midday, I mean, I got to tell you, that caused nervousness in the stock. And the trading halt turned out to be nothing, because they put in GPS in the earnings report. GPS is their old ticker symbol, because remember, they moved it last Friday to GAP from GPS, and that's the reason they halted the stock. I mean, I think that's a little odd, but you created undue nervousness. But it worked out in terms of the way we do our model. But because they did it in the pre-announcement, the opening price was higher, that it was elevated more than we thought. But yeah, I mean, it did do an earnings beat. It did pop after earnings. So, I mean, it was a unusual play yesterday, Emily.
Some factors you could not foresee there, Bill, but still a decent pick with a really good earnings report. Still a lot of action in the stock today, so we'll continue to watch it. And we will check in with you on Tuesday about today's Nice Systems pick of the day. A reminder that markets are closed on Monday in observance of the Labor Day holiday. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Tuesday after the extended holiday weekend at NewsWare's Trade Talk, when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.